Inspirational guest speakers that provide products and services and advice to support women in achieving more of what they want in all aspects of life. Please join me in welcoming these two ladies, Ms. Diane and Lynne Anderson.
Unstoppable and Women Warrior feels like the same thing, and I'm hoping that by the time we finish that you're going to reconnect with that part of you that is unstoppable, that is a warrior, and really have a vision for where you want to go next. And one of the things that we are expert at as coaches is helping people to get from where they're at to where they want to be. In fact, that's where the word coach comes from. It's the stagecoach. Remember the stagecoach in the old days? If I'm in this town, I want to go to that town. So coaching is about helping you get from where you are to where you want to be. And how many of you have ever been to a workshop and you hear all this great inspiration and maybe you get this great notebook and you're going to turn it in, you're going to go home and you get home and you get this big notebook and it goes on your shelf or it goes in the drawer and you don't do anything with it. And so what I want to challenge you with, and part of what we're going to do today, is to really figure out how you're going to take what you learned today and turn it into action. Because that's really what it's about. That's what unstoppable really means. That's what being a warrior means. So you don't just stop with the information, you do something with it. So we're hoping that we inspire you with that. Let me start with what is a woman warrior. A woman warrior leads from her heart with strength, wisdom, and passion. She combats the struggles in life with compassion and grace by creating a battle plan, fighting off her fears, and capitalizing on her strengths. She utilizes vigor, courage, and assertiveness to sustain and motivate herself in the pursuit of her goals. She offers a unique diversity of thoughts, strengths, and actions to create powerful and amazing results. She actively practices self-care. She celebrates even the smallest victories and strives for more balance and fulfillment in her life. So how many of you are women warriors? So being a woman warrior is not about the big stuff. I mean, yes, it's great when you get up and speak in front of a group of people, or you take those big leaps and you start your own business. I talk to so many of you out here that have started your own home-based business or a second career, and it's amazing when you're able to do that. But sometimes being a woman warrior is just about the little stuff. It's about taking a deep breath instead of yelling at your kids. It's about having a difficult conversation with a colleague at work, or a spouse, or a boss. You know, it's really more than that. It's the simple things. So I want to start by just sharing a little bit. One of the things Lynne and I do on our radio show every Wednesday is to talk about what it is that makes us a woman warrior. And again, it's the little stuff. So I'll tell you my woman warrior moment this morning. All dressed, got my suit on, I'm all ready to go, get my kids getting their homework done, because they both are in middle school and high school, and they've got busy stuff going on, and you don't always do it when I'm not there, so I have to make sure that they've got their structure in place. And I went down the basement to organize something, and I knocked over something, and a bottle of wine broke everywhere in my basement. And I'm like, okay. And it's, and it's like the basement, and I'm thinking ants, I'm thinking craziness, I'm like, oh no, what do I do? And I'm in my suit, so I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I get down, and I holler emergency, and get everybody to help me, and spent, 15, 20 minutes getting that all done. And it was a woman warrior moment, because I didn't lose it, I didn't freak out, I didn't, panic, I just very calmly got it done. And so for me, woman warrior is about being calm, it's about being confident, and it's about being conscious. And consciousness is about being aware of yourself, how you respond, how you react, being aware of your surroundings, and being present. So Lynne, what's your woman warrior moment?
Well, we always have so many moments throughout the week that we can choose to either be positive or be negative about the situation. And this week, Diane knows I actually have 3 businesses. So I'm a pretty busy woman. I have 3 kids. They're grown up. I have 2 grandkids. So I have lots of things going on. And, you know, we had Halloween this week, and Atlanta traffic is absolutely horrendous. I don't know that. Even Hiram, Dallas traffic, it's horrendous. And, you know, in those moments where you're rushing to get something done, you can choose to get angry about it. Oh my goodness, I'm stuck in traffic. I'll never get home for Halloween with my granddaughter. I was going to take her out. You know, I'm struggling with one aspect of my business. How can I do that? You know, my women warrior moment, though, because of all these things that happened this week, is to be, I think, of something positive. So when I'm stuck in that traffic, I'm thinking, wow, isn't it great that I can spend Halloween with my granddaughter? Isn't it great that I can take some time out of my busy schedule and spend it with the people I love, right? So it's taking sometimes the challenge that you face, but looking at your overall vision and the outcome of what you're trying to achieve for, you know, why you're doing all this work, what is it for? It's for something very positive, for your family, yourself, your loved ones, self-care. So that's my women warrior moments this week.
So take a minute, and we're going to do a little bit of interactivity here because I think it'll make it easier. You guys are going to be sitting in this conference room for the entire afternoon. So take a minute, talk to the neighbor next to you. And I know some of you are kind of back in the back, move a little bit if you want to. Share a little bit about what it is that makes you a woman warrior. Just take a minute and do that. What Lynne and I want to do is kind of walk you through a little bit of the, we started with a poem of what is a woman warrior. We're going to focus in on 5 things that we think are really at the core of being a woman warrior and talk a little bit more in detail in terms of what that means to us and share a little bit. So Lynne, why don't you start with the first one?
Okay, as we talked about, a woman warrior leads from her heart with strength, wisdom, and passion. Now, my passion, I have several passions. One of them is tennis. And why I love tennis so much, it's because of strategy, which is one of my core strengths. Because I love to solve problems. I'm a problem solver. Even when I was a little child, what I wanted to do is solve those math problems, right, that they gave you at school. And so my strength is problem solving. It's why I love being a coach, because I love to help my clients solve the problems and the challenges that they have and do that together. So I think about and listen to, what my strengths are and what I bring to the table and what my gifts are. And I understand that when I bring my gifts and my passion, and another one of my my attributes is I love to have fun. So we try to, on a radio show, we try to bring fun into what we talk about. I try to bring fun in the relationships I have with my clients. I have fun in any kind of work activity that I have. I look at how can I bring fun into that. So again, it's thinking about what are the gifts that you bring to the table. What are your core strengths? What are the values that you put out there that you strive, are your guideposts for success? And what are the things that you're passionate about? And then thinking about how can I bring that into the daily things that I do, right? How do I bring that into my job and the work that I do each day? Even if maybe the actual task is not something that you're passionate about, like for me, I try to say, well, how can I bring a little bit more fun into this task? Or how can I think about it from a problem-solving point of view? So thinking about how you can bring your strengths and your passions into what you do, that really makes you a woman warrior. So just think for a second about 2 strengths that you have, or 2 passions that you have. Why don't you share that with the person next to you? Okay, well, great. I'm glad you were sharing. And I think, it's being aware of those things. I actually, in my bag, I have a big heart, and I have the words fun and problem solving and strategy on my heart. And I carry that with me to my work, to my home, where I'm at. And it helps me to just stay grounded, in my strengths, in my passion. It reminds me that those are what, that's why I think that's my purpose. That's why I'm here, right? Is to share my strengths, share my passion, and share my values. So being aware and having that front and center is really important and that's one of our core attributes about being a woman warrior.
So you're out there, you're leading from your heart, you're being a woman warrior. What gets in the way? Life.
There's challenges.
Yeah, and I think that one of the biggest things that gets in our way is fear. How many of you would agree with that? Right? And sometimes it's the big fears. It's the big scary stuff. Oh my gosh, how could I possibly leave my job and go start a career as a coach? How could I make a change in my life that's so significant? How could I take my kid out of school and be a homeschool mom? Whatever it is, that those big things, it's life can be scary. But the reality is that it's not often the big fears. It's not the unstoppable fears. It's the little stuff that gets us. It's those nagging, fly-like nitty sort of, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Do I really want to do this? And what fear really is, I love this acronym. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. Okay? False evidence appearing real. The reality is that in this moment, right now, where we are standing, if you are here, completely here in this little space, that's you, there's nothing to be afraid of. Now, if you're in an emergency situation, there might be something to be afraid of. But right here and now, if you're living right in this moment, there's nothing to be afraid of. The fear comes when we start worrying about what's going to happen next, right? So we're projecting out, we're thinking about, oh, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? I've got this meeting next week. I've got to do this big thing. The worry, the fear, you're projecting out. You're not here in this moment. You're worried about something that could happen. Or you're fussing about something in the past. I can't believe I had that conversation with my mom. It didn't go the way I wanted it to. What if I should have said this instead of that? What if she gets mad at me? What if, again, we're not here in the present. And the reality is that if it's not happening right now, it's not real. It's a story that we're creating. And so we become our own kind of worst enemy. We create stories about what might happen, what would happen, and I still remember this so distinctly. I got, one of the things, I don't know, we didn't really say this, but Lynne coaches women in technology, and I coach parents. And so my focus is on women who want to bring their best to work, but also want to be there for their kids. So I tell a lot of stories about my kids. And my son is now 14, but he's a special needs kid, and sometimes we get calls from teachers. And so I get a call, I get an email from a teacher kind of in the middle of the day, please come over after school at 2:30. And that's all the email said. And so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And I start creating the story. And I realized I had a presentation that I was working on that afternoon, and I had stopped working because I'm thinking about the meeting at 2:30, and there was no way I could know what she wanted to talk to me about. She had stepped out to leave me the message, but it wasn't like I could call her right then. And I created this story that something terrible was going to happen, and it got in my way. I was afraid. And it happens to us all the time, doesn't it? And so I realized that I was conscious enough to go, oh my gosh, Diane, you are in this story. You don't know why she's calling you. You don't know why you need to go to school. You suspect that something negative has happened, but you don't know that for sure, and it's getting in the way. So for the next 2 hours, I decided that my son was going to get an award. And she was calling me to let me know. She wanted me to come to school to let me know about the award. And it got me through the afternoon because I didn't know. And in fact, I can't even remember what she wanted to talk to me about. It was probably something pretty mundane. But it was getting in my way. And it wasn't the reality that was getting in my way. It was the fear of the unknown that was getting in my way. So if you're going to create a story, create one that makes you feel good. That's one of my favorite sayings. So the challenge, though, with fear is that you can't just say, oh, I'm not going to be afraid. How's that work for you? I'm not going to be afraid. You're walking like, okay, I'm going to white knuckle it through this fear. And the reason you can't just do that is because fear is connected to a very real biological process that happens. It's called the threat cycle. And I don't know if there's any medical professionals in the room, but I'm going to pretend to know something about how the body works right now, okay? So if you are a medical professional, forgive me. But what happens is if we see a threat, our body reacts. It reacts by producing hormones that allow us to act very quickly. It's that fight or flight reaction. And my daughter was just telling me about this morning, that if you're in an emergency, some guy had this boulder that was going to fall on his head, and he all of a sudden had this superhuman streak that he was able to push the boulder off him, and he survived the panic. Well, that energy we get, that adrenaline, those hormones are produced for a very real reason. When you are in an urgent, threatened situation, you need to be able to slam on your brakes so you don't get hit by another car. You need to be able to run real fast if a mountain lion is chasing you. It's a very primal, very real physical thing that happens in your body when you are threatened. The problem is that your body responds, either it's on, yes, I'm in threat mode, or it's off, I'm not in threat mode. So a mountain lion looks the same as a screaming kid. It's a threat. Losing your job feels the same in your body as a deadline that's late. Either you're threatened or you're not. And the minute you're threatened, you go into that cycle. So it becomes about knowing what your threats are, knowing what your triggers are, and being able to calm yourself and know, you know what, I'm not really under threat right now. You have to actually stop a biological process that's going on in your body. How do you do that? A few things. Take a deep breath. If you notice that you're getting upset, you're getting uptight, you're getting threatened, you take a deep breath. It reverses the hormones. It rushes your brain with endorphins and oxygen, and it helps you to calm down. The second thing you can do is take a sip of water, right? I love this part because the instinct, that threat instinct, is a very animalistic instinct. And if you take a sip of water, the animal in your brain goes, oh, I'm at the watering hole. Things must be safe now. I'm okay. So I tell my moms, my clients, walk around with a bottle of water. When you notice yourself getting frustrated and angry and uptight with your kid, take a few sips of water. Calm yourself down. Because if you stay calm and you stay confident, it helps you to be a woman warrior. So the other thing about fear is that a lot of it is, as I said, is a story in our head. And we have those voices in our head, the ones that tell us, oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, don't do that. That's too scary. Something might happen. How many of you have like that voice in your head, that voice of doubt, that inner critic? That's another word for it. I call it a gremlin. Gremlins? Okay. We all have that. And the reality is that it's there to help us. It's there to protect us from a dangerous situation, from taking risks, to keep us from experiencing, a bad thing. So, for example, I have a client who, when he was really little, got up to speak in the 3rd grade play, and he got done, and his zipper was unzipped. And he was mortified And what he realized was that even as an adult, he gets up to speak, and it's really difficult for him because he doesn't want, his body is keeping him from being mortified ever again. And of course, it's not happening right now. His zipper sits up, or whatever else. As he's talking to a boss, or he has performance anxiety, and nothing big, but just when he has to speak his truth, it makes it difficult. But it's there to protect. And so those of you who have voices in your head, which we all do, know that it's there to protect you, but be really clear on what it's doing, and when it's talking, and when it's real versus when it's coming from a story. So take a minute and let's get connected with our gremlins. Let's learn a little bit more about our gremlin. If your gremlin had a face, what would your gremlin look like? Think to yourself. Maybe write some notes down if you've got a piece of paper and you want to take some notes. If your gremlin had a name, what would your gremlin's name be? And I would encourage you not to name it after your mother-in-law or something. That's never good. If your gremlin had a name, what are some of the messages that your gremlin says? Shout them out. I want to hear what your gremlin says. Don't go there. You're not good enough.
You can't do it.
You can't do it. It'll never work.
You're too old.
You're too old. You're too lazy.
You're never gonna find a man.
You're never going to find a man. I'm with you, sister.
I really know you don't need one. You don't need one because you're a woman warrior.
I need him. The voice makes it, you must have a man in order to be fulfilled, right? So we all have those voices, but again, it's about noticing them and understanding why they're there. They're there to help you, and they get in the way. So mine gets chirpy, kind of like, thanks, I got it, I'm under control. So fear is important because it's an automatic process that happens, and a lot of it is in our heads. And it's sad to say, it doesn't mean you're creating your own fear, but it's important to know that if you created it, you can manage it. You have control over it because it's yours. So what's the next thing?
Well, if we're leading through our heart with our strength, our wisdom, and our passion, and we're fighting off our fears and using our strengths to help us achieve our goals, we are in action mode as women warriors. So when we are in action, we don't want to just act and react. We want to create a plan, and we call it a battle plan for our success. We want to be intentional with what we're doing. We want to be conscious of what we're doing. And that's the difference between just living your life and being a woman warrior in your life. So if you think about it, think about what would your battle plan for success be? If you're here today, here at the Unstoppable Woman Conference, you're here today, there's probably a reason why you came. Think about where you want to be and what your purpose is in the next 6 months. And how can you use your strengths, your talents, your passion to get yourself to where you want to be. Okay. What we like to do in coaching is we create a visioning exercise. And actually in corporate world, I did a lot of workshops with customers, and we said you can't get from here to there, but you can get there from here. And what that means is you have to have a really clear vision of where you're going. And that is your battle plan. And then the steps that you're going to take to get there. It's very intentional. And so we thought we would do a little visioning session here. Of course, we don't have paper and all that. But we're going to ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to read a Confident Woman Warrior poem and have you think about how you're going to step into that woman warrior and how you are going to use your strengths and your talents to get to where you want to go. You're there. So close your eyes now, and I'll read this. I am a strong, confident woman warrior. Like Athena, I am a symbol of my strength, my wisdom, and my passion. I am living my life of passion to help others succeed and blossom. I'm living each day through my heart, enjoying my family, friends, and each person I meet along the way. I am relishing each and every moment of my life, no matter how big or small. Each day I smell the fresh dew and the opportunity that is there in front of me. Each day I see the person who is sitting right next to me. Each day I taste the sweet juices of all the possibilities life has to offer me. Each day I hear the laughter, the truth, and the goodness that is around me. Each day I feel the love of those around me. And each day I see that I am a hero, not a victim. I'm proud of what I accomplish, no matter how big or small of a step I take. My courage and strength follow my heart and allow me to follow my dreams. My dreams become reality, and another day begins. My loyalty lies with living my life with vigor, passion, and grace. I am a confident woman warrior, and I am you. So take a moment and think about what is that confident woman warrior that is you. Okay, open your eyes. I hope you saw you're there and where you can get to, because each of you is very special and unique as a woman warrior.
So now you have your vision for where you want to be, whether it's 6 months from now, or a year from now, or a day from now. We all have the chance to start again every minute. The last thing that we want to talk about that you really need is something to sustain you and to motivate you. And that's one of the difficult things, is keeping yourself going. Life gets in the way, we said that already, and it's hard sometimes because we're struggling and we're moving and we're trying to achieve our goals, and we take a few steps forward and we take a few steps back, and it makes it difficult. Sometimes we want to give up. What do you do to help yourself to sustain? It's important to connect to what I call your why. So if you know why you're trying to accomplish something, whether it's because you're connecting to that passion we talked about at the beginning, whether you have a value that you're trying to honor, whether you are holding a hope for your child or your relationship or your job, get in touch with your why. Understand why you're doing it. And whenever you start to stumble, whenever you start to go, I'm getting a little tired, moving forward on this path, reconnect with your why. Lynne talked about having a heart in her purse that reminds her of what her strengths are. I have a vision board on my wall that reminds me of where I'm going. I've created words that tell me how I'll know that I'm there. And I get up in the morning and I look at it every day and I'm like, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I do it every day. I do it for my family, I do it for my passion, I do it to help other women. But it's in reconnecting with that every single day that it keeps you moving forward. And it can make all the difference in those moments, and we all have them, where you're like, I can't possibly do this one more day. It's hard. Life's hard sometimes. It's a battle. It's a battle. It can be a battle. The other thing is about sustaining yourself, is about taking care of yourself. And that's about self-care. And I love that there's some pampering stuff going on out here. One of the things I did, you guys don't know me, but they did my hair and they did my makeup today, and this is not normally how I look, but I think I look pretty good. Thank you. I can't see if you're in the back of the room, the women who did it for me. Thank you again. But as women, how often do we put ourselves first? No, we don't. The phrase I love, and I fly fairly frequently, you get on the airplane, and what do they say? They say, put your oxygen mask on first, right? Because if you take care of yourself, then you will have more energy to take care of somebody else, right? But we forget that. We're constantly doing for our kids, and doing for our work, and doing for our business, and doing for our friends, and doing for our parents, and we forget that we need as well. And maybe we're lucky and we have other people in our life that feed us, but I'm here to tell you that you're the one that needs to feed yourself. That's our job. That should be job one, but it's often not. So I'm going to challenge you to think of 2 things you could do this week that would be different, that would be self-care for you. Maybe it's just going to the gym instead of going to the PTA meeting. Maybe it's, going for a walk on the way home from church on Sunday because you love being outdoors and you love connecting with the outside. Something that's going to make you feel good. Maybe it's closing the door in the bathroom and actually taking a bath for 15 minutes and putting a sign up that says, go away, I will be back in 15 minutes. And your kids will be fine for 15 minutes. Most of us are in that situation. But it's something for you that will make a difference and sustain you and take care of you. So think about that for a minute, and I want you to share it with the person next to you, because if we share it, it's more likely to happen. That's called accountability. So take a minute and think of what your 2 things are, and then make that commitment to the person next to you. How did it feel to make a commitment to taking care of yourself? How many of you said it felt awesome? How many of you felt like it was kind of like, can I really do this? How many of you went, yeah, I'm going to say this, but I know I'm never going to do it? Okay, so what gets in the way? Kids. Fear. We're afraid that we aren't going to have enough time, that if we spend 15 minutes, I'm here to tell you, 15 minutes? How many times do we sit in traffic for 15 minutes because we're late getting somewhere, right? We figure out how to take 15 minutes. If your kid takes 15 more minutes to do their homework than you expected, you find a time. You make it happen. Why is it so different to take care of yourself? It's about priorities. It's not about time management. There's 24 hours in the day. You can't have more time. I'm sorry. It would be nice if we could.
We get another hour.
We get another, oh, we do. Maybe you take that out, but look it. We get an extra hour today. That's 4 15 minutes. Okay? You can do, this is awesome. You can do 4 things for yourself in that extra 15 minutes that you get this week. Use it somehow. We find the time for what our priorities are. That's the reality. If your kid was sick, you'd find a way to get the stuff done and you'd stay home to take care of your child. If your boss had a project for you and you needed to work overtime, you'd figure out how to make it happen. And we do, we work our buns off, but work your buns off for yourself. Do something for you and make yourself a priority. That will help you more than anything else in terms of achieving your goals and getting where you want to be.
Now, we are passionate about what we do. We fought off our fears and capitalized on our strengths. We created a great battle plan with you guys today, and we are going to sustain and motivate ourselves this week to get to our vision of where we want to go. So, in true women warrior spirit, we like to celebrate even our smallest of victories. And that gives us a lot more energy and momentum to be successful in fighting all those battles that we have ahead of us. So with that in mind,
the reality is that success breeds success. And so if you notice that, wow, I got the kids out the door and I actually brushed my teeth this morning, and you celebrate that. I made it through the day, and I didn't have one bad thought about my boss. Whatever it is, celebrate it. Because if you celebrate and you notice the success, it gives you the energy to move forward and have even more successes. So we're going to do a success exercise. You ready? We're going to celebrate. So you got to get your girl on here. So everybody stand up, and you're going to talk to the person next to you, and you're going to tell them. We're going to imagine that it's 12 months from now, right? And we're coming back to the second annual Unstoppable Woman thing. And you're just running into this person that you saw last year, and you made your commitment for self-care, and you created your vision for where you're going to be. And you're going to take a minute and each tell each other, what's it been like? You've accomplished your goals. You're there. You're doing what you wanted to do, whether it's starting a new business or having more patients or whatever it is. You are there. You have accomplished that. And I want you to spend a minute really connecting with that and share with your neighbor the celebration of accomplishing what you've done 12 months from now. Does that make sense? Okay, so you're talking, we're time traveling here. We're going into the future. We're going to celebrate. So go for it.